Hey YouTube, today's league turnover, and you may be thinking, isn't it only the 7th? Should the league turnover be on the 8th? Yes, it should, but for some reason Niantic only made this 6 days and turnover on the 7th. I guess they wanted to keep the Fridays consistent, even though we're ending on like a Monday or Tuesday of the season, so I don't know. Anyways, league turnover, Summer Cup. Not new, it's a staple in the summer. Great league, normal, fire, water, grass, electric, and bug. So, what has changed is a lot of the meta Pokemon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the new rankings. I'm going to go over 5 teams from the past that I used, and then I'm going to go through 4 new teams of the Pokemon that are now meta relevant of how I would probably shift the old teams. Some of the old teams actually still play, and some of the old combos like still work together, but there's a lot of new Pokemon out there that you need to be aware of. Right, and if you just look at this list, again, I don't know all the dates, but off the top of my head, you're looking at Toxapex, Charjabug, Togedemaru, Quagsire became more meta relevant. Again, a lot of stuff just became more meta relevant, right? Poliwrath with Icy Wind, Empoleon with Steel Wing. So the rankings have changed. Okay, sorry, let's just go back to the info for 1 second. So I named 5 typings, 6 typings, normal, fire, water, grass, electric, and bug. 6 typings. So initially whenever I do this, you need to think about, okay, looking at this meta, what should be good of typing wise versus everything else. So for example, normal typing is only weak to fighting. Are you seeing fighting on this list? No. So the only way a fighter is going to get in here is if it gets in with a secondary typing, right? Whether fire, water, etc. Right? So probably not a lot of fighters. Means normal typing Vigoroth goes free for the most part. Vigoroth, double, stuff like that. Then I look at fire, and I'm like, fire's an interesting one. Like, yes, there's water, but there's also grass, and there's also bug. So I'm like, maybe more fires in here. Water. I'm like, water. There's grass and electric, so we'll see about that. And then so you kind of just work from there. So the rankings are on the board there. So let's just start with the normal typings because they are in gray, and there's a lot of them, and not surprising, right? So you have the stuff that's just normal, Vigoroth, Munchlax, double. Again, counter user, double kick user. Munchlax is a tackle user, but it's just very bulky and spammy with the body slam too. So basically you have your 3 spammy body slam normal typings where you don't really need to worry about counter users, right? Poliwrath's a counter user, secondary typing. For the most part, that's why they're ranked so high, and a couple flyers as well, right? So normal flyers, there are some electrics in here. We'll talk about those in a second. But normal flyers, Pidgeot and Rufflet, same sort of thing. That sort of neutralizes the fighting weakness, and then you add on sort of ice, and again, ice isn't one of the main typing, so it's got to be secondary typing. And then, or like just a moveset, and then electric, there is some we're going to talk about here. Let's go to the electric because it's fun. I have some of the old teams that I have here. The electric I used was Stunfisk, Unova Stunfisk. And if you notice, Stunfisk is not even on the top 20 here. But there's a lot of other electrics. Charjabug, Emolga, Togedemaru, Magnezone, Zapdos. So why is that? So a couple reasons. One is one of the main typings is water. So you automatically beat water. One of the main typings is not ground, right? So the ground that would resist all these electric moves is not there. So you have your waters, you got flyers that are running around here. In neutral situations, a lot of these Pokemon are very hard hitting, right? So Wild Charge, Magnezone, Togedemaru. Shadow Zapdos obviously hits like a truck as well. Charjabug is more of the tanky one, but tanky in coverage with X's or Discharge, right? X's are super effective against the grass, Discharge against for like everything else. Actually, X's or neutral situations is better, but Discharge for flyers and water and stuff like that. So electric should see a decent amount of play in here as well. And some of the Pokemon like Togedemaru and Magnezone are also weak to fighting as well. So not a lot of those, no ground. Again, there could be ground typing, but just secondary typings. Then there are waters. But the water Pokemon are, it's funny because I said, oh, you know, grass and there's grass and electric. I don't know if I want to do water. But the water Pokemon get off on two things. So one is there's some Mud Boy, so that neutralizes the electric, like Quagsire there. But everything else is buffed Pokemon, Poliwrath and Polion with the Icy Wind, Steel Wing buffs from the previous season. Or very spammy Pokemon that got buffed. When did Wing Attack get buffed? 3 seasons ago now? With the Wing Attack buff, right? So the Wing Attack buff came in 3 seasons ago. So now spammy Weather Ball, spammy Aerial Ace, coverage for grass with, I mean, you don't need coverage for grass when you're a flyer, but just like hard hitting moves, secondary with Hurricane and stuff like that. So spammy now. Again, what has changed since Summer Cup 3 seasons ago now? Wing Attack buff, Icy Wind buff, Steel Wing buff. Quagsire gets Aqua Tail Community Day. And that got buffed, right? So there's a lot of Pokemon now that are just on the rise. And then Toxapex is on here because it has the secondary poison typing. And again, if you're not going to see a lot of ground and you're not going to see a lot of steel, those are the main things you need to worry about. So Poison Jab without those two, again, it's not like those two are not around. I just named Togedemaru, Magnezone, and Empoleon. So it's not like Poison Jab is just going to roam free. But with a lot less things to worry about, a very bulky Pokemon hitting with Poison Jab Sludge Wave combo is very, very, very strong in this meta. So that is why Toxapex is so highly ranked. Plus, Vigoroth is, as you see, number 2. One of the go-to in a lot of these normal typings. Vigoroth, double, you'll resist the kick fighting fast moves with your poison. And then sort of Tropius on here as a grass flyer. Again, got the flying for other grass Pokemon. You got the grass for the water Pokemon, so that's kind of there. What else is on this list? Credilli, kind of an interesting. I'm going to ignore Rufflet. Rufflet, again, I'd probably just use Pidgeot, but if you have an XL Rufflet and you want to be spicy, go for it. The only other one on this list to talk about is Credilli, which is an interesting one. But again, I think it gets by because your rock typing picks up a fighting weakness. But then such coverage, right? So grass for all the waters, rock for all the flyers, just hard hitting neutral moves across the board, right? So it's pretty interesting Pokemon. So again, this is not a new leak. It's been on multiple times. But you're going to just kind of see the Pokemon here that are not relevant anymore. So I wonder if I can minimize these a little bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but I can see them. So I'm just going to do like a comparison of like Pokemon that are still around versus not around, right? So on this list is not Dugong, but Dugong is just always strong, right? Because you have the bulk. I'm running Water Pulse on it, right? It's not even Drill Run. Is that how old this is, that I'm running Water Pulse on my Dugong? Probably. It's probably Dugong without even a Drill Run. That's how old this is. And you can tell by my background too. So obviously a Drill Run makes it better. A counter user, right? So basically the thought process on this team is counter user to deal with Vigoroth. It's basically you're weak to fighting on the front and 2 bugs to resist fighting in the back that can also just like beat it. So the Galvantula and a counter user will beat Vigoroth pretty handily, right? So again, Galvantula, you can use Galvantula, you can use Charge a Bug. If you want a counter user, you can most will probably just go Poliwrath now as the main counter user, and then Dugong. Dugong still has play if you want like an Ice type Pokemon, but again, with a lot of electrics, some water Pokemon like Toxapex. Toxapex you can hit super effective with Draw, and so it's kind of an interesting one that you should be able to get by on. Whoa, that one's a little wider than expected. Pidgeot, Lickitung, and Vigoroth. This is one that I actually like built a team very similar to this, and it's weak to a double weak to fighting, which is a very easy strategy. So it's a triple normal team here. double weak to fighting in the back. Not a lot of fighters. You can draw out a fighter with Lickitung or Vigoroth. I think Vigoroth is safer just because Lickitung against the Vigoroth is going to be a tough matchup. So Vigoroth seems pretty safe as a safe swap. So safe swap that, pull out a fighter, Pidgeot deals with that, and then Lickitung rolls 3. So that is your ABB style team. I've got something similar to that. Swampert replaced with Quagsire. Abomasnow. Abomasnow is an interesting one. I think Abomasnow still has a lot of, even though it's not on the top list right now, still has a lot of play, right? Resist electric, resist the water. There are some flyers on here, right? So you gotta watch those. But coverage with the weather ball and energy ball. So it's a nice sneaky Pokemon. Fire Pokemon. I think most people will just probably go with Skeledirge now. But back in the day, when you didn't have Skeledirge, you had Marowak. And Marowak, same thing. It got by with that typing. That typing was so unique. Fire Spin for just neutral and the bugs. And then Shadow Bone hits pretty much everything except for the normal typings. There. What else did we used to do? Oh yeah, I wanted double rock. So one's electric. They get them because they're bug and they're bug and electric. But they're double. So one's a Smackdown user, one's a Volt Switch user with Rock Blast, right? So double rock, covering your flying weakness on the front. So grass in Meganium, and then you have double hard hitting like Smackdown and Rock users in the back to deal with those. And then yeah, there's Unova Stunfisk, right? So Unova Stunfisk was the main go-to there. Walrein, when Walrein came in, was very, very powerful with the Power Sonic School Spears. And then there's your second counter. There's another counter user, right? So counter users are out there. And because Vigoroth is everywhere, a lot of people try to find counter users to deal with that, right? So there's there's sort of like the double. There is Blaziken here. Now there's Poliwrath. So there are some more counter users that will be hunting Vigoroth, which should be everywhere. Okay, but let's look at some new stuff. So I start with Toxapex. You always got to start with the number one Pokemon. And again, like there are some steals and there are some grounds. There's your Mudboy Swampert. There's Magnezone. But outside of that, you're neutral or great across the board. And that's what makes Toxapex so deadly. So if you're going to have problems against steals, just go like double or Vigoroth. So there's your safe swap. And then coverage in the back. Not coverage in the back, but I went Electrode because it's got it's one Pokemon that I always like using and I always hate using. It's interesting because it's got like Wild Charge and Energy Ball, which has like a insane amount of coverage, right? Because if Wild Charge is resisted on ground, then your Energy Ball is going to hit super effective, right? So it's a very interesting Pokemon to use. I like using it. So you could use this on the lead and just like Wild Charge and Bail into double, or just like Wild Charge multiple times, try to take switch, and then your double and Toxapex should balance each other out in the back. So just kind of win switch that way. So you can do either, use it either way. And then it's funny because there's like 3 Pokemon that are not on the old one. So Charjabug, Poliwrath, Skeledirge. So Charjabug should be good. Again, there's not a lot of rock users. There's some fire, but not a lot of fires. There's a good amount of flyers. There's a good amount of water Pokemon. Even against Quagsire, you still hit neutral with the X Scissors, so it's not a terrible matchup. So Charjabug should be pretty good. You resist the counters. You resist the counters on double, on Vigoroth, and the double kick on double. So pretty strong there. You are weak to rock. You are weak to fire. So Poliwrath makes sense as your coverage. And then I was looking for a third. And I was just going through, like, I just want to see Skeledirge, what it does, because I'm like, there are weaknesses you have here, like some electric Pokemon, like electric, the Togedemaru and stuff like, well, you'd hit super effective against Togedemaru, but having a fire type Pokemon for some coverage there is a pretty good idea. Okay, number 3 of 4. So I did go Unova Stunfisk again, and there's your first Vigoroth. Mantine, Stunfisk, Vigoroth. I'm pretty sure this is just a balanced team with Vigoroth safe swap. Right? Yeah, Mantine double weak to electric, so you have a ground electric Pokemon. Yeah, because electric is allowed in here. Ground electric Pokemon. And then Vigoroth as your safe swap. Basically, yeah, Mantine late, fight for switch. If you don't get it, Vigoroth as your safe swap. Cover your weakness in the back. You know, Stunfisk going to be weak to water and grass and stuff like that, and Mantine will deal with that. It's a pretty balanced team, and yeah. Remember that triple normal Lickitung team that I talked about? How I thought I was like, I'm going to do this again? Pidgeot, Greedent, Togedemaru. Basically try and draw out a fighter with Greedent. Pidgeot deals with that, and Togedemaru roams free. That's how I would use this team. So that is basically it. Again, there's a lot of new Pokemon in this meta that we have not seen in past seasons, so it should look a little different than it normally does. But some things will remain the same. Like Vigoroth will be there. You're not gonna go away in a limited cup without seeing Vigoroth. You're not gonna see, and because you're gonna see Vigoroth everywhere, you're gonna see teams counter Vigoroth everywhere. Hence why Toxapex, Charjabug, Mantine are the top 1, 3, and 4, because they are great answers to these normal typings like Vigoroth and Double that are ranked so high, because they resist the counter moves, the fighting moves. And again, so now if you're going to have Toxapex, you're going to have Mantine, and you're just going to have like normal typings. That's why electrics show up, because you can hit super effective against the flyers, super effective against the waters, resist the Charjabug. So you can kind of just deal with that, right? So just think about it that logically that way. So it's either like go meta Vigoroth, go counter Vigoroth, go counter. That's the way it's going to work. Or you can go off-brand Spice. You can do triple normal teams. You can do, like, there's enough coverage here to do pretty much anything. Maybe you can try like a triple even electric team to a certain extent, because there's enough like coverage in these electrics. Like Zapdos has a flyer, there's Stunfisk has a ground, so there's like people can just kind of do what they want in this league, but just know that the meta should settle pretty quickly, and we'll see what it goes from there. So yes, viewers submitted. So now that you made it to the end of this video, I was expecting one more day of Great League. So I still have 2 videos that I already shot for Great League coming this afternoon. Like one's coming at 11, which is earlier than normal, and then one's coming at 2. So you're gonna see 2 more today of Great League just because I already shot them. And yeah, there's like 30 battle submissions. So thanks everyone for that. And then yeah, if you got Summer Cup is on for 2 weeks. So definitely send me those Summer Cup teams. Link in the description, because if you send me the Summer Cup teams with Master League on next week and this doubled up next week, there's a good chance I'm going to need 20 to 25 teams here. So love to showcase yours and go over my thoughts on your gameplay. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.